Welcome to the carousel. I am John. With me I have Jake.
John,
yeah,
I've got some news. A lot of people have been talking about it. You've probably heard about it on your social media. The Cubs have won the World Series.
Really? The Cubs won?
Isn't that incredible? That is the only thing that's happened all November. And I'm so excited to get this month started off so right.
That is so crazy. So the Cubs they play basketball, football?
No, it's like basketball, but it's a smaller ball, and then they take a piece of a tree and then they beat the ball with it.
You know, I might be willing to watch that sport.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like cricket.
Isn't this something that hadn't happened in like 200 years or something like that? Like
yes.
Since 1776?
Yes, the founding fathers put the inauguration of the Chicago Cubs into the Constitution. It got taken out in the Bill of Rights because people thought it was too unfair to subject a city to that team for that long. So they brought them back later. But yeah, it's a big deal. I'm excited.
Interesting. Well, cool. Well, I'm glad for your tree beating sport. So
yeah.
So if this is your first time listening, we talk video games and movies and general nerd stuff.
Lots of sports.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And well, the stream is messing up on my computer, so hopefully that means it's still running normally. I will cut that portion of me talking out. But let's start the cast like we do every episode with some news. Where are the notes? I apologize. I've already started drinking.
I don't think we start with the news. Don't we start with releases?
We do. We do start with releases. We do.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so for video games, from now into November 25th, we have coming out on the 10th Tyranny. That is the Obsidian RPG that'll be in the same engine as Pillars of Eternity. The basis of it being that you, like, basically villains control the world and you are one of them, and it is supposed to be one of those morally questionable tree branching games. So
yeah, it's out today with other stuff. I was just reading an article about it on that it's really, really fun to be a villain. So I don't know if it's just one of those gimmicky sort of clickbait things or if they actually got it right. So here's hoping.
Well, the first time I heard about it, I thought it was going to be a comedy, and the more I read about it, the more it didn't sound like a comedy at all. I would really like to get it, but I am super fucking broke right now. So I don't know. Christmas present.
And you have nothing but 2 months of spending coming up.
Pretty much.
Yeah. In my family, we have I have a birthday party this Saturday, another birthday party this Sunday, and then in 2 weeks it's Thanksgiving, and then the week after that it's a birthday party, and then another birthday party the week after that, and it's straight on through fucking New Year's. So it's either bringing gifts to everything or picking up a nice, 6-pack of beer or whatever. Like, I'm just watching just the gas station, numbers just go ting 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 ting. I'm going, well, guess there's no room in there for games.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't canceled my Final Fantasy 15 pre-order. That right up
to get through Lightning Returns before I can pick that up.
What the fuck? No, why would you? What?
I was gonna talk about it months ago. I was playing Final Fantasy, was it 13-2? Just because I sort of liked the kind of set up the paradigms and kind of switch them on the fly. And so I liked that gameplay. The story was not good, but I wanted to play more of it. And I had it in my Steam library, so I played through it, and I got to the last boss, and he's beating the shit out of me. So I think I'm just going to give up on that, watch the ending on YouTube, move on to Lightning Returns, just so I can cross it off the list.
Have you played all the other Final Fantasies?
Not to completion. Most of the recent ones, I played through the end.
Define recent.
Well, yeah, I kind of everything PlayStation forward that wasn't an MMO, but I've also played 6 recently.
Okay. Okay. I was about to say, because, technically the only recent ones are 13, right? Because Final Fantasy 12 came out on PS2.
Yeah, that was when they kind of started to go towards the sort of open world thing. I thought that was a clever game. I had trouble getting into the world, but actually that was the only one I didn't finish. Since I want to say 7, not counting 13-2 and Lightning Returns.
Oh, okay.
Are
you getting the new one?
Well, I was kind of hoping it would be delayed again because of the financing thing. But what I'm probably going to end up doing is force myself to beat Lightning Returns before I pick that up. And because I can't see that happening anytime soon, that's probably going to let me get 15 a lot cheaper. So
that's probably true, and you'll have a good idea on whether it's going to be any good or not by then. So
yes, because we're not pre-ordering games anymore. Because here's a quick Jake is full of shit that I didn't realize until after the cast last week. We were talking about all the Bethesda stuff and how that's super bullshit and all that stuff, and then I realized that 2K does the same thing, and I bought Civ 6 on day one because I saw Alex Navarro over at Giant Bomb playing it, and I was like, well, I am just a huge fucking hypocrite, and I will have to pay more attention to that stuff.
I don't think I ever committed to not pre-ordering games anymore, so... but at the same time, I do try and stick with the, have I beaten what I bought last recently, and do I need to before moving on? And most of the time, the answer is yes.
Don't get any pets. We don't want you beating pets before you get new ones. Gems, fuck you.
Okay.
Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
So, that was a dishonorable joke. Dishonored 2 came out today as well for the Boner, the PS4, and the PC. Obviously, there are no reviews out for it yet because of exactly what we were talking about. Yeah,
I mean, it's. I saw Mackie over at No Quarters had tweeted about an hour ago saying it's a Dishonored game, which is what we expect. So, I'll hang out with it for a while, and if it turns out it's cool and everyone loves it, I will pick it up later.
Maybe Dishonored 1 is what I will attempt to play through on the Thanksgiving break. Although I bet that game's pretty long, but
not as long as you'd think. I mean, you can definitely take your time with it if you want. But if you really stay, mission critical path, you could probably get through it in 6 to 8 hours.
So, when you're playing Dishonored 1, I remember one of my big issues was just, it seemed like a real pain in the ass to take the good guy route through it and not, what is it, the no-killing thing or whatever? Is that worth doing?
I mean, you're going to get a bad ending. As far as, they say that there's, it's been 2 years since I played this game. So I forget what they call them, but they're basically sewer zombies, prowlers or grimers or something like that. The more people you kill, the more chaos goes into the world, and the more shit like that comes up. As far as difficulty goes, it didn't. They were selling like it made the game way harder, and it's a little harder, but not. If you can kill everything, that makes the game way easier, so it kind of offsets it. It gives you a pretty fucked up ending, which I actually like. So yeah, don't limit yourself. I mean, if you want to go through it and try not to kill anybody, by all means try it. But I think it does a really good job of not punishing you too bad for playing the way you want to play.
Okay. Maybe I'll give that another go. So
I mean, if you already own it, it's a no-brainer. Yeah, try it out again. That world is so cool.
I got a lot of games. The 15th, we have Watch Dogs 2 coming out for the PS4 and Xbox One and PC. That is not... Why are there 2 dates there? Does the PC
Because
come out the 29th? Is that the deal?
Right, PC's out 2 weeks later.
Okay. One of
Which
those.
A part of me is still surprised that this got a sequel. And also, I feel like this shouldn't be out for another 6 months, but here it is.
Yeah, I feel like it wasn't supposed to be out this year, but... honestly, I think Watch Dogs 2 looks more interesting to me than Watch Dogs. Like, Watch Dogs 1 never really grabbed me like it did everyone else, because I guess I just never believed them on any of their promises of the non-limitations you'd have. And Watch Dogs 2 actually looks like it might be kind of cool to me, and I dig the guy with the stupid LED mask thing, too, but...
Yeah, he's real, what was it, Zero from Borderlands? Was that the dude's name?
Yeah.
Where he's just got emoticons come up on his face?
Yeah. Zero's great, man. So 17th we have Planet Coaster coming out for PC. Jake, I don't know what this is.
It's a lot like a railroad, not railroad, Roller Coaster Tycoon, sort of a spiritual successor. It has been in either Kickstarter betas or something like that. It's been playable for a lot of people in an unfinished state for months and months now, and I've watched, I want to say Sean Vanneman over from Idle Thumbs. I forget who it is. Maybe it's Jake. That's been doing streams of it and just making parks and stuff. Which it's really cool to see someone who's involved in making video games make a level. You know, that he's making an amusement park, and so he knows about lighting and stuff like that, and how to accentuate certain pieces and how stuff should work from a level building perspective. And the tools seem robust enough that you can get really granular if you want to. So that's been playable for a while, but it's looking like that's the actual full-on release for it. I want to say it's probably going to end up like a 30 to 40 price point. It seems like it should be about there, but I don't know for sure.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, moving on to movies. On the 11th, I guess that's tomorrow, we have The Arrival coming out, starring Lois Lane and Hawkeye, if I remember correctly.
That sounds right.
And this is entirely about a woman playing etch and sketch with an alien race, I think is the basis of the plot. Right?
I mean, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
We're talking 100 million gross easy here, right?
Yeah. Who directed this? I don't remember.
I don't know. All I know is I've seen a couple of stories about it that people, who are sort of in the know, kind of, watch a lot of this stuff, have seen it and gone like, this is not Independence Day. Don't expect a whole bunch of buildings blowing up, but it's a really thoughtful and kind of not methodical, maybe a little methodical, but just a thoughtful and kind of clever take on a sci-fi meeting aliens movie is what I'm reading about it. So I thought it sounded cool.
So I just noticed something about this. I'm going to bring up about this movie later. But yeah, I've watched the trailers for it. It looks kind of interesting. It definitely it gave me kind of an Interstellar vibe, honestly. Kind of like that. What do they call it? They call it is it called hard sci-fi, where they try and do the realistic technology to go with it?
I believe so. Yeah.
So I'm curious, but I don't know if I'm willing to pay theater prices for it. So we'll see. If the reviews just sound like it's a mind-blowing experience, then I may try and find an excuse to get to the theater. But $15 ticket is a hard sell sometimes.
We're going to talk about one first up when we get into actual topics here. 3D IMAX by me, after tax, is $23. Which I went, nope, not doing that. But it turns out that the quote-unquote little theater by me, which is still, 12 screens or something, is they have $5 Tuesdays. So
nice.
I might be seeing a lot more movies.
I keep forgetting about that. I have a theater near me that has $5 Tuesdays as well that I need to go to. So maybe that's how I will see Arrival.
It's an extra $2 for 3D, but I so infrequently give a shit about 3D that it's a $5 Tuesday for me plus whatever Fandango wants to charge me for printing the ticket out. That's all right. I could probably swing that.
I mean, I agree. 3D rarely adds to the movie, so. So also on the 18th, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them releases. We were kind of chatting about this before the cast. I am a Harry Potter fan. I own all the books. I have listened to that British dude read the audiobooks multiple times. I've seen the movies multiple times. I just can't make myself care about this movie.
Yeah, is it Harry Potter set in America? Is that this one's gimmick?
Yeah, it takes place 50 or 60 years before the Harry Potter storyline comes up, so we might see a young Dumbledore or something.
Dwarf?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're a huge Harry Potter fan.
What did I say his name was?
Dumbledore.
Dumbledore. What? I added a fucking W. Who gives a shit?
Nope, you added a W and an F.
There's no F? Oh.
You turned him into a fucking D&D character. Here's Damon Dumbledore with his mighty axe.
You know what I want fucking Skyrim Harry Potter. Let me go to school. Actually, no, not Skyrim. Actually, I'd rather it take from the Persona. I'd rather have Persona Harry Potter. That's what I want.
You almost had me. Like, I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan. I watched all the movies when they came out on Netflix, or if I had cable at the time or whatever. I watched them just because there's something culturally that probably everyone should know what they're talking about. So I watched them all and I liked them. I feel like 2.5 hours a movie is probably a bit much for that, but whatever. I wanted to know about them. And this one, I sort of feel the same way. Like, if it comes out and people who aren't, people who made their own Hufflepuff scarf or something, if people who aren't that really like it, yeah, I could check that out, but I'm sort of lukewarm on all that stuff.
Yeah. It just doesn't feel right, especially since it's not... It's really, like, I know they had the book for it that I've never read, but, I mean, it was like a novella, right? It wasn't what they're actually doing for the movie, so...
When so much... I mean, you can't just go back to that cow forever and just keep on milking it, but, like, so much of those movies felt to me that it was being in the school and just not the world. Like, whenever they weren't at the school or some sort of mystical forest or something real magic shit kind of thing, like, when they were in the real world, I think in, like, the 6th or 7th one, they were in a double-decker bus and then went to a coffee bar or something like that, or a diner. It was like, this is all not fun. Like, go back to the school. That's where the fun shit is.
Yeah.
And taking it out of that, I would be worried that it would sort of lose some of the magic. I don't know. We'll see. They already made it, so...
Well, in the context of those 7 stories, I know I'm nitpicking at this point with what you just said on something that we're really not discussing, but...
Yeah, we don't talk about Harry Potter.
In the context of the books... Like, I really feel the not being at the school section of that story was really important. But I think you're also entirely right that the book's heart and soul was at that school. So, for me, for them
the
to...
story, yeah, it's super important. It was just boring.
Well, for me, what would really, I think, have been better is if they said... We're going to base everything, we're just going to do Harry Potter, but it's going to be in the American Magic School, and, I don't know, Hermione's a teacher there. Or, something dumb like that. But, they didn't do that. I don't know. We'll find out if it's any good. I have no idea whose opinion I can trust, since everyone is fucking obsessed to Harry Potter with an unhealthy degree. So...
Yeah, nobody really seems to have, like, a measured kind of take on Harry Potter. Everyone seems to be like, don't give a shit, you fucking nerds with your magic, fuck off. Or they're like, yeah, I have my own spell book, and I know this language. There doesn't seem to be a lot of middle of the road as far as those things go.
And seriously, are we just never going to say words before spells again in this? Like, I know they got rid of that in the last 2 movies or something, but, like, seeing this movie where, like, no one is calling out anything, it's like... You guys, come on. Just set your rules and stick by them. That's all I ask. Or give a good excuse as to why you're not following them. But, anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty nitpicky.
Okay, my bad.
Like, okay, so there was that one part towards... it probably happened 4 times, where they were doing, like, for lack of a better term, like, the lightsabers clashing, where it's just, them... good guy, bad guy across the room from each other, pointing a wand at each other, and there's this beam of red energy and beam of green energy just mashing into each other for like 45 seconds. Do you want them yelling the same word over and over and over during that?
I don't necessarily want it, but I want them to eat their fucking porridge they poured for themselves.
Okay. All right. I think they probably made a good decision as far as like toning that down a little in the interest of making it more... not cohesive, but not to take you out of it, Yeah.
Anyway.
How the fuck do we know this much about Harry Potter? Jesus.
I'm a fan. Just not, I don't own any scarves or anything. So, on to news. Starting out with some good news. Young Justice Season 3 has been announced and is now in development. It has the original producers, Brandon Vietti and Greg Weisman. They have not announced where they are releasing them or when. So that's about all we know, actually.
That's a really good point. I just assume Netflix or Amazon, because everybody puts out on those. No, if this shit ends up on, like, Crunchyroll...
I know. Well, it's like every time I get on on, I don't remember if it's Facebook or Twitter, but they're advertising a Janine Garofalo stand up on something called CISO, and like that's my nightmare is they find some other unknown streaming platform that they want me to watch this fucking thing on, and I'll do it because Young Justice season 1 and 2 is the best of DC, I think.
Well, you're never going to beat Batman the Animated Series, but that's 25 years old at this point. I want to say I'm like maybe a couple of episodes away from being done with season 1, but the problem is I have so much stuff on Netflix and Amazon that like I'm really excited about. Like that Ian McKellen Sherlock movie just showed up on one of the two. I think it's Prime.
Yeah, I watched.
I'm so excited about that movie. I've wanted to see it since the second I heard about it. But, like, I can't turn that on while I'm working. I can't turn that on while I'm fucking around on the computer. Like, I have to sit down and I want to watch that. And it's the same thing with Young Justice. My queues are filled with all this stuff that I really want to watch, but I so really want to sit down and take a 3-hour block of time and just stare at the TV and follow this one thing.
So I've seen both of those things you just mentioned. Finish Young Justice first.
Oh, really?
The Mr. Sherlock, it's not a bad movie. By any means, it's not bad. It's just not as good as it looks.
Okay.
I mean, I don't regret spending my time with it. I probably need to watch it again when I'm a little bit more focused on it, but at the same time, I didn't really need to be focused on it to catch the duration of the plot. But I mean, it's not a bad movie by any means. I just don't necessarily think it's. I don't know. Maybe you're a bigger Sherlock fan than me, and will therefore find more things to appreciate in it. I did not. So, but
okay.
Let's see. I'll let you take this next one.
Okay, we got some Diablo 3 news. It's ironic that this game is undying. And it's been out for what, 4 or 5 years now at this point?
I know, it's got to have some necrotic tissue to it at this point, right?
Well, it's getting another character as DLC. It is the Necromancer, who you may remember from such games as Diablo 2, Heroes of the Storm. Excuse me. Blizzard has actually confirmed it's not. The character is not the Necromancer who is in Heroes of the Storm. It's a different quote-unquote Necromancer, but they're all generic. Nobody cares. They haven't put out a lot of info on him yet, except that it's going to be the Necromancer is going to be part of a paid DLC pack. It's going to come with some extra stuff, I think bank stash slots, like pets, cosmetic stuff. But they're also remaking the entirety of Diablo 1 in the Diablo 3 engine, which I'm sure most folks have heard about already. I'm not as excited about that as I am for the Necromancer, but like I posted on Twitter with the trailer, and I was like, look, any reason to go back to this game is a good reason to go back. That is a great game to just turn on, like American Horror Story or something, your house, something you've seen a million times, and just like turn that on and kind of start watching it again, and then just play through Diablo 3 and listen to podcasts, whatever. It's great for just turning off your brain and clicking on purple and orange things.
So I heard Diablo 1 was going to be a limited time event in there. Is that accurate?
I didn't get that impression.
Oh, well, maybe I should have Googled that before this.
No, I put the thing. Well, I mean, it's going up on the public test room next week, which I don't like doing PTR stuff, but I may download that just to try it out. I didn't get the impression that it was a temporary thing. I mean, it's okay. It's it's 20th anniversary patch. I think it's just going to be in there going forward. Okay,
so according to Forbes, will include 16 levels of dungeon, all 4 original bosses and cows. It will have some sort of pixel filter and also have a retro UI. Where is it? God damn it. The title of this article said it was limited time, and I'm not seeing it.
I don't see why they would put that much work into something and have it be a limited time thing.
Okay,
I mean, I guess they could. They got the resources.
Here it is. For quoting Forbes, For better or for worse, this Diablo within Diablo 3 experience will be a limited annual event called the Darkening of Tristram. It will be playable every January, beginning January 2017, though you can get it your hands on it via the public test realm server next week.
I'm not sure I love that, but okay.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
I mean, just because, like, that's your hook. You know, for a lot of people who have, you know, never bought into Diablo 3 because they just, I don't know why someone who liked Diablo 1 and 2 wouldn't. I don't know, maybe the rainbow scared them off or something. But, like, this seems like a great hook to get a lot of people to pick up this game, to, like, kind of push them over the edge and be like, oh, yeah, I forgot that came out. Oh, you mean I can replay the original? Like, I know a handful of people, and I don't know a ton of people who play video games, and a handful of the people who have, Diablo 1 was one of the only games they ever played on PC, or Mac, usually.
Yeah.
Like, that seems like that'd be something you'd want to have around all the time, but okay.
Yeah. Part of me really kind of, I know they aren't going to, but part of me really wanted them to bring back the old classes and level, like, just give me an upgraded Diablo 1 kind of thing. But
you want to play a rogue? Or a sorcerer?
Yeah. Or, you know, one of the classes that you can only get if you edit that INI file or whatever it was.
Oh, the monk, was it? Was that the one they put in the Hellfire expansion?
Yeah, he was the Hellfire expansion. But, like, there were two, let me think, because they had Fighter, Mage, Rogue, and then I think if you put in a code in one of the files, then there were two more classes that would pop up. One of them looked like, oh, it's not Rogue, it's Archer. One of them looked like the Archer, and one of them looked like the Fighter, but they had slightly different skill trees.
Okay, I'm going to be a pedantic jackass. I think it was Rogue.
Was it?
I think it was. Anyway, it's neither here nor there. So the other thing, Blizzard-related, that I'm just going to bring up real quick, the reason you're probably not going to be hearing any Hearthstone news from me for a while, if ever, is they've taken the Brawl, which was that weekly sort of, here's our weird rule set for the week kind of thing. Like, all your cards are random, or you pick, you know, 2 cards from a class, and then you get 15 copies of those, and that's your entire deck. And everybody plays by those rules. Well, that used to be every week, and now once a month, instead of that, they're doing a heroic brawl, which is basically you build a deck from your cards. Like, all the same rules as regular apply. And then you do a brawl style thing where you play through like it's a brawl. Or, I'm sorry, not a brawl. You do a, oh god, I forget what they call it now. The thing where you play 12 games, arena. It's basically arena. And you play till you lose 3 times, is what it sounds like. Which would be fine if they're only doing it once a month. It's only replacing the brawl once a month. Fine. Except for every run you want to go through it, they're charging $10. And I was like, oh, I see why you've done this now. All right, and I just pulled the ripcord. I'm out. Goodbye, Hearthstone.
Yeah, that'd do it. That would do it.
Yep, I let it burn up in the atmosphere on re-entry. I'm done.
I know, you had to go to a completely different galaxy cluster. I mean,
yes.
All the way to fucking. I mean, it's an effect that was just caused in mass. So if that trail of hints wasn't.
You're getting there.
Wasn't spelling everything out. Like we want to talk about the Mass Effect Andromeda trailer.
This is the second one.
Yes. Well, the first one, was that really like that thing that they showed on PlayStation?
I guess you're right.
Whatever. PlayStation 4 Pro, like that thing was I'm going to jump from this thing to that thing, and then I'm going to show you a cutscene. Like that was.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool though.
It looked good, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just a critical jackass, but it looked like a bunch of it was a bullshit tease to me. Like is what it was.
Yeah, it was probably a total one of those. I think they call them vertical slices, where if anyone stepped, 2 steps the wrong way, the whole thing just falls apart. Like it definitely felt like one of those. But we have an official trailer now. You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and the official trailer, I still don't feel tells us a lot. Well, I guess it gives us the background of the story. I was hoping for gameplay, but the background of the story is that, and they didn't identify the timeline, but through the various trailers they've released, it's hinted at that during the 3rd game, they sent basically some humans and 3 or 4 other races out to the Andromeda Galaxy. This is evidently going to be 600 years later in space time, so who the fuck knows when it actually takes place. But you play one of 2 siblings, one of the riders. I do not know if they will let you rename the main characters. If they do, I will be Richard Ryder.
Of course you will.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe I should just skip and call him Dick, as you love to call him. But
everyone loves a Dick Rider.
Yep, everyone does. So
just for context, for anyone who doesn't know, that is the guy that John likes, who was in Nova. He was Nova. He was part of the Nova Corps.
Yeah,
John likes him a bunch.
He was Nova since the 70s until he got recently replaced by a shitty little kid who was named after Jeff Loeb's dead kid.
It would be like, I'm just going to gloss over that. It would be like if they were the brother and sister were named the Parkers and named them Peter.
Yeah.
Very original.
Yeah.
Clever.
Yeah. So, the new game looks good. The pre-order stuff they released with it was kind of disappointing. Like, you probably can't see it very well, but I have physical copies of all the Mass Effect stuff behind me, and they don't appear to be releasing a physical copy of Mass Effect for PC, which has been my platform of choice for Mass Effect, despite BioWare wanting me to...
That's effectively a 20% tax to you then, because you can't get a physical copy from Amazon, right?
Right. I actually pre-ordered their remote RV car that you control with a phone.
No, you didn't.
Because I thought it was the game. And then I read it, and then I'm like, Amazon, you don't pay anything when you do it. I'm just going to reserve this, and I'll think about whether I'm really going to spend $200 on this thing later. And because I was like, how can they sell this to me for $200 and make a decent RV car when they still got to sell me a game? And then I realized it didn't come with the game, and then I looked into it, and I'm like, there is literally no reason for me to pre-order this. Your pre-order bonuses are special armor and multiplayer stuff. And granted, the multiplayer in Mass Effect 3 was a lot of fun, but that's not why I'm going to go to Andromeda. I'm sure I will check it out. It's not going to be the reason I stay,
Well, moreover, I can't imagine controlling an RC car with your phone would be very satisfying or responsive.
Yeah, it doesn't sound good. It has a camera on it though. I don't know. I don't know the details. I need to I'm a bad person. Whenever I pre-order something, I just leave it there until 2 weeks beforehand, and I'm like, I'm not gonna fucking do this, and then cancel it. I pre-order a lot more stuff than I actually purchase. So
a part of me kind of almost feels better. That's almost a part of me feels like that fucks the game companies more than me, who just doesn't pre-order at all, because they get excited and then they don't get their money and it fucks with their forecast. So I feel like you've actually been doing more to fuck with Bethesda all this time than, well, not that you've ever canceled one of your Bethesda orders, but you've been doing more to fuck with those kind of policies all this time than I have by just staying out of it.
I guess it's so, because literally almost every month I cancel a game pre-order, is where I'm at. I had Call of Duty Infinite Warfare on pre-order. I don't own it.
I remembered you getting real excited about that, and I couldn't. It just seemed so far out of your wheelhouse. I was like, oh, all right. Okay.
I still want to play it for that single-player campaign, but at the same time, it's a Call of Duty game, so I'm scared shitless of spending $60 on it and not liking it. So to me, I'm thinking, I got a week off in Christmas, so maybe I can find it for $20 then and play through a good 6 or 7 hour space campaign. It won't be the open space invade other people's ships thing like I want it to be, but it'll at least have a level where I do that.
Well, shit, Titanfall 2, I think Target and Walmart maybe today both had it down to $35.
Damn.
Titanfall 2 came out last week?
That's a little depressing, but that's also, I don't know. I'm broke. Titanfall 2 is another one I wouldn't mind picking up, but I don't know what platform I'd get it for, honestly, because I don't know anyone that's playing it. But honestly, the way they described that single-player campaign, it didn't sound great on Titanfall 2.
You don't think so? I've heard lots of, I don't know about glowing, but people are pretty stoked about that single-player. It's not all people from the same site. It's pretty easy for the guys over at Giant Bomb to kind of not get in a group think, but like if one guy likes it, like you look at what happened with Clash Royale. Like it got, I think, Brad, and then all of a sudden everyone's playing this fucking game. But I've heard from, I heard on Giant Bomb from Dan Reichert that he's really liking it. Patrick Klepek over at Vice is saying he really likes it. The guys at Idle Thumbs are saying that they're always a little more reserved over there, but they're digging it too. Like I don't know.
I must have just had my head in the sand, like paying attention to that Cubs game or something, because I hadn't picked up. I think I read one review by a guy I didn't like, but he commented that the AI was really bad in the single player, and the chord that struck with me was in Titanfall 1, the AI was horrendous. It was just absolutely worthless, and the thought of getting a single player campaign with that sort of worthless AI was kind of off-putting to me. But
and I'll bet that the AI, the AI in the because last game I think was just multiplayer. They were effectively creeps. They were creeps in a Dota match. Like they aren't supposed to be real good because you're supposed to smash the shit out of them. So I don't know. Go check out some videos of it. But
it doesn't matter. I have no money to spend on it right now or the foreseeable future. So
but I'm saying you could break into a target, and that way when you break in and steal it, you're only being charged with stealing $35 worth of merchandise as opposed to the full $60.
But if someone wants to go and buy it for me on Origin or PlayStation 4,
you start that shit.
That
works once, MusiM.
We are a massively popular cast that has fans that just want to spend money on us, and
hey, fuck that. We're international.
I'm digging a hole. Okay, so the Mass Effect Andromeda trailer. I don't know. It looked like a thing. You can't really get anything from a bunch of CGI stuff, but of course, I'm excited about more Mass Effect. I'm just disappointed I can't pre-order. Is why I'm negative. Well, I can pre-order, but there's no incentive for me to, so I likely won't. So
I will probably pick it up. I will see the reviews and see what everyone thinks of it. I have a good hunch that I will probably, I like that universe.
Yeah.
I will probably get it at some point.
Yeah.
It seems the only thing I think they might, the pitfall that you kind of have to keep an eye out for is having it be so detached from the original trilogy. Now they have to do that because I've been playing through the Master Chief Collection, and I think I just started Halo 3, so I'm going to get to Halo 4 in a minute here. But from what I kind of heard, Halo 4 they kind of tried to tack it onto the trilogy, and it sort of watered everything down. So, they have to do that here. I'm a little worried that they might lose too much by making this 600 years later and, an entire galaxy away that's outside mass relays. I don't know.
They have to start over, though.
Yeah, I guess they do.
After that fuck all ending they did, they don't have a choice. If we get any data to import, it will fucking... It's going to be like a dozen diary entries that change,
Right, how did you fuck up all the mass relays?
It'll be like, your alien companion's green or blue or orange. Which of the three colors you want to choose? Because, depending on the ending. Anyway.
I went green. Green seemed like the only way to go. Nope, there was no way to go. The only way to win is not to play.
Yeah. So, they also released a trailer for a movie called Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. This is a new Luc Besson film. He directed The Filth Element. He directed...
The Filth Element. Nice.
Yeah.
I'd watch that.
That's the porn parody. He also... He also directed The Professional, which is also a porn parody. It just happens to have the same name.
Mila Jovovich, am I right?
Yeah. But anyway, this is his new sci-fi epic. I guess it's based on a comic series that I've never read, or a graphic novel or something. Did you watch the trailer at all?
I'm watching it now. I saw GIFs of it, of the blue thing picking a flower or something. I didn't know this. This looks real cool.
It's really an everything in the kitchen sink kind of trailer, but it's.
Who is this dude? Why do I know this dude?
He's the guy from Chronicle. He was also in I think one of the Spider-Man movies and that Metallica video.
Oh yeah, he was the kid from the Metallica sort of musical movie concert footage thing.
Yeah, that kid. So anyway, the director's really good. You could argue that Lucy was kind of a pitfall for him, so maybe that's an issue. But the visuals in this, I think, at least look really imaginative and cool, and it very much still has kind of the style you get from that dude's camera angles. So, and having that weird kind of Beatles song meets Inception, whatever war drum thing going on, I thought was kind of cool too for the trailer, even though trailer music is rarely representative of the actual movie music. But
and just before we move on, Through the Never was the name of that sort of concert footage / long music video thing from Metallica, and the actual story stuff is kind of garbage, but it was on Netflix for a while. If it comes back on and you like Metallica, and I'm avoiding the whole argument of their old shit was better, I'm sort of still a Metallica fan. The 2 new songs that I've heard from their upcoming album, I think I liked 50% of. But regardless of all that shit, if you even have a passing interest in Metallica and like some of their music, that is the most amazing concert footage I have ever seen, with some fucking crazy set pieces.
I thought it was really cool. It's the first thing. I really haven't cared for Metallica since the Black Album. Like, I'm one of those. And even when I liked the Black Album, I remember everyone who felt that they sold out by doing the Black Album. Yep. But they play a lot of their old classics in that video, and that kind of having that stupid kind of narrative with that kid fetching stuff for him. I mean,
it was fine. It was goofy.
Yeah.
It was fine. It didn't really make a lot of sense. It had some cool visuals.
He gets, a spoiler for one scene, when they play Battery, he lights himself on fire. It's great.
It's when it cuts back between their actual concert footage and then this side story that's supposed to be playing, while they're playing the concert, this kid's out getting a MacGuffin for him. And there's rioting in Toronto, and shit happens. Whatever. It's a metal video. But just there's the wacky shit that happens on the stage. They have a 35 or 40 foot tall statue of Lady Justice from the cover of Justice for All. They have some crazy physical stuff that pops up on the stage. Oh man, it's incredible.
It's cool. I honestly wouldn't mind owning a copy, but
yeah.
And I never listen to Metallica anymore. I used to be a metalhead. I'm really not much of one anymore, but.
And they are kind of up their own ass. Well, they've been up their own ass, but it's a little. Yeah. They're very up their own ass in Through the Never, but it almost doesn't matter because that's just. I can't imagine what it would have been like to be there for that. That was oof.
Yeah. So, moving on to something a little bit different, a little bit
Stranger Things,
a little bit queer, a little bit with an education. Doctor Strange. So we both saw this. You saw it more recently than I did. I saw it on IMAX 3D, and I think everyone needs to see it in 3D. I will
agree.
It was shot in IMAX. Did you see it in IMAX too?
As I stated earlier, IMAX was $22, and I went. Or no, I'm sorry, it was 24 something after tax. And I was like, I could own this fucking Blu-ray for that amount of money. I'm not, no. But you were so adamant that you see it in 3D that I went, okay. So I went and saw it in 3D for $12. I don't know. I saw it last night, Wednesday night. I was literally the only person in the theater. I had the theater to myself. I changed seats 3 times just because I could. It was really cool. That 3D was really great. And I guess this sort of doesn't have anything to do with the movie. It just struck me as funny because Benedict Cumberbatch played Sherlock, had the British accent. He's totally British. He comes here and plays Doctor Strange, who is effectively House from the Fox show, who is played by Hugh Laurie. And House is an analogy for Sherlock, played by a British guy doing an American accent. And I was just my brain kept folding in on itself like the walls of the city,
I could see that. I never thought about that. I didn't know that about House. To me, this movie is a visual motherfucking treat. the story, if you look at the story too much in any direction, it falls apart pretty quick. But I think all the movie basically only has about 6 characters in it, right? 6 characters and a couple henchmen. And most of those characters you get a really good flavor for and really good motivation for, I think. I think the only one who you don't get a good motivational flavor for is Wong, but he's still an entertaining character.
I think I really liked what they did with Wong. I think most of the comedy that they tried to put in here, though, did not work.
You see, the Cape was my favorite character.
It would have been... It was funny, but they kept trying to go back to it. Like, when it was beating the hell out of that dude in the hallway, I thought, okay, like, all right, this is a little goofy. But the longer it went on, and man, that sound system in that theater, I don't know if it was because it wasn't bouncing off a bunch of stupid fucking heads of strangers, but that sound in that theater was booming. And just listen to that Cape thump this dude's head into a wooden floor. Like, it was goofy, and then 10 seconds later, it was like, all right, this is getting silly. And then 15 seconds later, still in the background, just hearing thump, 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 thump. And then it went to that third beat of like, all right, this is just hilarious that they're stretching this out so far now.
I mean, it is like, Peter Griffin hitting his knee for 5 minutes.
Right, it's dumb until they push it over the cliff where it becomes funny.
Yeah. And it's, I could see it really off-putting a lot of people, like a lot of the antics the Cape gets up to in the movie, but I really enjoyed it. Like, that was... I forgive you if you don't, but that was my favorite character. But I don't know. I really enjoyed the movie. The movie's directed by Scott Derrickson, who directed The Exorcism of Emily Rose and the remake of The Day the Earth Stood Still. So my understanding is a lot of people like The Exorcism of Emily Rose. The Day the Earth Stood Still was not a great remake, and it wasn't entirely his fault from reading about it. But that movie, I was reading an interview that I thought was pretty interesting, where he was talking about just, I guess he got that movie after doing some other independent movie that was kind of critically acclaimed, and he didn't really feel like The Day the Earth Stood Still was his movie because it had so much studio involvement, like afterwards. And so he was in this awkward place where he was being, critically panned for a movie that he didn't feel like was really his. So from that point onward, what he said was he wanted to make it a point to always make sure he was on the same page with the studio and make sure that he's making a movie he wanted to make. So evidently Doctor Strange is just through and through his baby.
Well, it is still formulaic. Like, it does follow a formula. In a lot of ways, it follows the Iron Man formula to a certain extent. In fact, it is so formulaic, it's got Stan Lee at about the 42-minute mark. He does a cameo. And can we please stop fucking putting Stan Lee in cameos? We get it. He made comics. He takes me out of these movies so much. It was like right in the middle of the big action scene. It's like, here's Stan Lee. Like, this ought to yank you out. Like, ugh. But yeah, it's still a little formulaic, but wow, she was good.
Yeah,
shit was good.
Here's my thing with the formulaic. Like, to a degree, I feel like saying Doctor Strange is, like, it wasn't inventive in terms of its story formula, but a lot of people are kind of pissing on it for being like Iron Man, and that's a point I like. If you really want to diminish everything down, then okay, rich guy in a profession gets injured, becomes some sort of superhero, becomes a better person. Like, if you want to diminish it down to those story beats, that's accurate. But if you don't diminish it down as far, then it's okay. You have in Stephen Strange a completely unlikable character for the first 20 or 30 minutes of the movie, whose profession is surgery. It is saving people's lives, even though he's really only doing it for glory. Whereas you look at Tony Stark, you have a likable egomaniac who's making war weapons and trading them to, the military and things like that.
That's why I thought it was funny, is because he's playing house. Not like playing house like when you're a kid. He is House MD for the first 20 minutes of that movie, and I thought he was likable. Like, to some extent, yeah, he was a shithead, but he was a reasonable, like, it felt like a real person and how they would react to this, and they exaggerate a little because it's a comic book movie, and yeah, it is kind of formulaic, shithead sort of gets knocked down and it comes back and learns and how to be a better person and saves the day. And by the way that they saved the day in this one, like when they introduce the method that he uses to combat Dormammu, like you sort of go, all right, this is going to come in later. But I didn't realize that they were doing it until like a millisecond before they slap you in the face with it. And I was like, yes, that was the way to fight this guy.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
It was really fucking clever. Like, that's the other thing is, like, all the special, like, the ending I thought was clever. I think all the special effects are very imaginative, where, if you watch the trailers, you're like, oh, they're just doing Inception. And you watch the movie and, like, they're doing Inception with fucking whatever they want to do with it. Like, it is just beyond crazy, some of those sequences. Like, especially that ending sequence, which I don't want to give away. I think that is... because once you get there, it's just...
Once that starts, the last 15 minutes of that movie is pretty nonstop. And I don't say that about very many things.
Yeah, and it's... and it's kind of goes back to an earlier thing I said about the plot. If you even start looking at it a little bit, it will fall apart. But the movie does such a good visual job at moving the story along that I suppose maybe if you work in a hospital or something, you might get distracted about the inaccuracies. But
yeah, there's tons. I'm not in the medical industry at all, and even looking at that, I was like, this is all totally fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, this chick just she didn't scrub in, and now she's doing surgery. Like, you don't want to wash your hands maybe when you put your hands in this dude? Like,
yeah, I don't. And they kind of do something the Daredevil movie did, but don't let that detract you. It's I wish I hadn't said that. It's a good movie. I
have no idea what you're talking about.
It doesn't deserve to be compared to Daredevil. In Daredevil, minor.
Are you just gonna nail this thing? Like you just said, so I shouldn't have brought that up. Are you just gonna pin the tail on it now?
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll move on. If it makes my top 10 list at the end of the year, maybe I will get into the plot issue that I had. But
the one thing that bugged me, which sort of by the end, when you get a better look at him, was not as big an issue. I thought they were turning Dormammu into the big fucking purple cloud whatever that Marvel just keeps ending up with when Galactus was a big purple smoke monster and Thanos is big purple dude, which he in the comics was a big purple dude. Who is it? Apocalypse, I think, was big purple blob dude, and it looked like Dormammu was going to be big purple blob dude, and I was like, what the fuck, guys? Like, can we do something else? They ended up doing a better job with that. And by the way, did you know that Benedict Cumberbatch did the mocap for Dormammu as well?
I heard that. I heard he actually did the voice, and then they mixed it with someone else's voice to kind of make it sound more different. But
that's possible. I believe he only did the mocap, but I could be full of shit. Either way, it was him acting against himself.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, and I was reading another thing. I really like the soundtrack to Doctor Strange. It goes back and forth, I think, between being kind of a more original soundtrack and kind of stereotype, but it had more style to it than I think most Marvel movies did in terms of that. And also, I think we keep talking about Dormammu. Like the main villain you're interacting with throughout the movie is I can't remember his name, Cal something or other.
Calciphilus.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's clearly something wrong with him. He's probably got some VD.
But the point being is, he is, in terms of the Marvel movies, he is probably the most developed villain they have. Except for maybe
better than most.
I say that. You could probably argue Jeff Bridges' character in Iron Man 1 is more developed, but... Oh, and that's the other issue I took with the Iron Man Doctor Strange comparisons. Is Iron Man's really a family tale. It's, a son grieving his dad who he has personal issues with, who has to get in a fight with his stepdad, essentially. And Doctor Strange isn't about fucking family at all, whatsoever. But
that's fair.
Anyway, I just think people are being a little bit like, you're taking this down, like when you're saying Doctor Strange is exactly like Iron Man, you're essentially saying
I didn't say that. Come on now.
You didn't. Some reviews did, but you're essentially just bringing it down to, oh, this movie is man versus man, just like this other movie.
Okay, that's kind of silly.
Yeah, it's you learn that shit in English, right? Man versus man versus nature.
Man versus man, backed up by a god.
Yeah, I mean it's just too. It doesn't help the critical process, I think, to be that dismissive. But I don't know. I'm not the best. I'm probably not a good critic. But that is my opinion on it. We probably should keep moving, though.
Yeah, I was.
I don't want to cast a shadow on this conversation.
My games this week are going to be a little sort of unexpected, just because I was so burnt out with this whole Cubs thing. I mean, it's 7 full baseball games when, I'm not a huge baseball fan in so much as I like baseball. I like the Cubs, but
I mean, they liked beating that ball with a stick so much. I mean, didn't they just beat it a bunch of extra too? I mean, didn't I hear that?
These games were like 4 to 4.5 hours, and 7 of them, like that's almost an entire work week of baseball over the course of a week and a half. So yeah, between that and just the other baseball stuff, I was fucking burnt out. I was like, you know what? I've had Mafia for a month now. I played a little bit of. I liked it. I can't get into this some big thing. I just want to come home and turn off my brain and move on. So I've been playing a game that I played a couple of times is Castlevania Lords of Shadow, just because I feel like it's a real good kind of popcorn comfort food game. Did you ever play that, John?
Yeah, I really liked that game.
It's really good. It's not perfect. The story beats are a little goofy. And some of the puzzles.
That Metal Gear-esque ending, though, sold me on the story, though.
That was real good. I wish they could have turned it into something good with 2.
See, I never played 2 because everyone was so down on it. I'm like, well...
Neither did I, and I was so disappointed.
Yeah, I don't know. Part of me still wants to go back and give it a try, but I hear there are sneaking missions, and that's a pretty immediate way to get me not to play your game. Especially in, a God of War style kind of scenario.
Well, that's the thing. This is not perfect. It's very easy to get lost sometimes, and it's not always apparent where what you can grab onto. But it just takes bites. Get it? Bites. Out of so many other good series, I mean, it's got a lot of the cool movement stuff from Uncharted. It's got real good kind of God of War / Devil May Cry / Dante's Inferno sort of combat feel to it, except there's magic that works in, and there's combos that you sort of work the magic in with. It's not a God of War magic where all of a sudden you hit a button and it just fucking golden axes the screen. It's organic and it fits in with how you're already fighting, and it's got Shadow of the Colossus boss fights and a cool feeling world, and there's a lot of varied locations, and man, they just got so much right with that game. It bums me out that Konami doesn't want to make good games anymore.
Yeah. Well, and they even got fucking Patrick Stewart chewing the motherfucking scenery every goddamn chapter. It's absolutely glorious.
And he does the narration during all the load scenes, which that was, I think I originally played it on PS3, and boy, those load scenes were kind of a bear. Well, now I'm playing on PC, and the load screens are done by the time that first line of the book fades in. So, I'm sitting here waiting to listen to Patrick Stewart finish talking.
Oh, man.
There's so much to like about that game. And if you don't have it, and you can find it for $10 and $12, pick it up. If it's on PC, you don't have to, but you totally have to. Have a controller to play it. This is not a keyboard and mouse game. And it's not perfect. It's got a couple of technical glitches. I think it's kicked me out to the desktop a couple of times, but it didn't crash to desktop. It just kicked me out, and I had to alt tab my way back in. It was still running. Everything was fine. So yeah, it's worth a pickup. You're sort of an undead hitman.
Yeah, I know. I just get sick of all the undead hitman stories, but. So I watched Sicario. I actually watched it about a month ago. We're just now kind of getting an opportunity to talk about it. Sicario is directed by Denis Villeneuve. I can't say his name, but he's the same.
Villanueva?
He's the guy who. Sure, we'll go with that. But
Okay.
he's the one who is directing Arrival, which we talked about earlier, coming out. And he's evidently doing the Blade Runner 2049 movie.
It's probably Villanueva?
Sure.
Villanueva?
Sure.
One of those two.
The Sicario is, like, I saw it on Amazon Prime, and it's a fascinating movie to me for probably none of the reasons it's fascinating to anyone else, I think. But it is a highly tense kind of police drug bust thriller kind of thing, where you have a couple FBI agents in, I can't remember if they were in Arizona or New Mexico, but somewhere in there where they kind of make a bust / discovery, and then these guys pick up the captain of the unit, and she drags her reliable partner or whatever along, and they go into Mexico basically after the main drug lord. And it is not really an action movie, although it has a few action scenes in it, but it is super fucking tense. Like, the thing the movie does that a lot of people have called everyone in this a really good actor, and I don't know how they can make that judgment, because I think the movie, the way it functions, is like the opening scene, like not the opening scene, but one of the scenes, your main character, played by Emily Blunt, is sitting while some other people are in a meeting, and the camera is showing you what she is looking at and what she is thinking and what she is noticing. And it just does it in a super, like, I realized it like a little ways into the movie, just how much information it was imparting to me, not through how the actor was acting, but where the camera was pointing and what it was zooming in on.
So you're not talking about Sherlock, where words are popping up on the screen, showing her thoughts or anything. Okay.
No, this is they do it, I think. I don't know that subtle would be the apt description, but in comparison to Sherlock, it is definitely subtle. But it's very much them observing their environment and trying to figure out what the fuck they just signed themselves up for. Benicio del Toro is in it as well, and so is Josh Brolin. Those are the guys that recruit Emily Blunt. John Bernthal randomly pops up in the middle of the movie, but I won't go into his role at all. The music is also tense as fuck. Like, I'm pretty sure if you redid any of those scenes with an upbeat song, that movie would lose 60% of whatever tension it was building, at least.
I've one. This is a complete non sequitur. I think it's awesome that one of the people that they hired to be in a movie about drugs, her last name is Blunt. I think that's awesome.
Yeah, I would, for the most part, recommend Sicario. I don't know that the storylines. I don't think actually the story's any good at all, to be honest with you.
That's a glowing recommendation. Did you see this in the theater? Or are we talking streaming?
Amazon Prime. They had it. They have it on Amazon Prime. I'm pretty sure right now still. But this is a movie you see for the tension and the journey, because I think the overall story is. It might mean something to someone. It does not mean anything to me.
So Journey is not in the soundtrack, is what you're telling me. You don't watch it for that journey.
Right.
You watch it for the narrative journey.
Right, but it's
Except not the narrative journey, because the narrative's bad.
It's shot really well. It's tense as fuck, and the less you know about the movie, the better. I know it doesn't look like anything that would normally be in our palette or possibly yours. Because it looks like a weird army movie, right? Just forget about that and realize it's going to kind of have a SWAT team kind of Breaking Bad aesthetic to it. But it is very serious. It is very tense. The soundtrack is entirely appropriate for it. And because they have so little acting through most of the movie, the moments they do have acting, it becomes all the more important, I think. So... But it's a
movie full of no plot and actors who don't act. So it sounds like this is basically Through the Never. We're back to that again.
Oh man, I didn't. Yeah, I'm doing a bad job of selling this. a lot of people really critically like this movie who probably really fucking hate me right
Okay,
now.
so I love this thing. There's no acting. There's no story. They make you infer most of what the characters are thinking, and not even with the actors. They do it with the camera. The soundtrack is really minimalistic. It's awesome. Like, you did not sell me on this, but I don't know. Now I'm like morbidly curious.
I guess for me it was just mechanically really fascinating how all the pieces fit together and how the movie chose to carry you through the storyline. I mean, the storyline is Emily Blunt's character unraveling what the fuck is going on around her and what the hell these guys have actually gotten her to go out and do. But anyway, probably spent too much time on that. You know, I mean, this telltale sign I've been talking too long.
Well,
So,
it's justice. She's seeking justice. I haven't talked to it. It's been out for a little bit. I think I kind of skipped over. I haven't really talked about this since the first episode came out. I played Telltale's Batman episode 3. Burned through that last night. It seems like the episodes are getting shorter. Like I took a couple of breaks and I think I got through this one in 2 hours. I just had a couple of takeaways from it. It seems like I don't have an incredible rig. Like, I have a pretty good rig. I've got, I think, 8 gigs of RAM. Like, at least, decent amount of RAM. I have a 960, GTX 960. So we're not talking top of the line, but it should be able to handle a Telltale game. But I'm getting a lot of stuttering during, like, where the scene cuts. Like, if it changes cameras, it sort of stutters. And sometimes that'll cause the audio to desync. Like, where the picture paused and the audio kept going, and then until it cuts to another camera angle, it's desynced. And I sort of had that same problem in Doom, where the audio would be fine, but like if a lot of characters loaded in, like teleported in because they're fucking demons, it would sort of stutter a little bit. And if anyone out there is technically savvy and has an idea of where you think my bottleneck might be or where I should turn down the settings, I'd appreciate that. But I think that's maybe telling. Get it? Telling. That, like, I shouldn't be comparing technical requirements between Doom and a Telltale game.
yeah.
Like, so I don't know that that's buggy, but it certainly feels like it's buggy. And it's not the end of the world. It's just irritating. And it happened enough to where, like, I couldn't ignore it anymore. But maybe there's a setting to fix that. But aside from that, there's some pretty cool stuff. You go to some new places. You hang out with Lucius Fox, and you get to go down in the R&D division, which apparently Wayne Tech really downsized their R&D division. Like you remember in Dark Knight, and I think Dark Knight Rises, where he had that huge fucking warehouse with all the tanks in it and shit. You remember where Bane is like, "We found your precious armory," as the Hummers fell through the ceiling?
Vaguely, I really only saw that movie maybe once.
It was a giant cavernous basement, and in here, it's like it's a little bit bigger than a bedroom, like maybe a living room is the entirety of Wayne Tech's R&D. But it's fun. They do some cool stuff. They're starting to work in the, Harvey Dent and his friendship with Bruce Wayne is sort of one of the major pieces of the first episode. And they keep going with it. Him and Selena Kyle, who you might know as Catwoman, have a thing going. And so there's a weird love triangle thing that they drop like pretty early. But they're starting to work in the Two-Face stuff. And as sort of kind of ham-fisted as it is that they sort of wedged it in, like, I recognize that these guys don't have another 20 hours of gameplay to let this develop. So I was okay in letting them sort of hit the major beats of it. But the voice actor that's playing Harvey Dent / Two-Face, like, he's really good. Like, not only does he have an awesome Two-Face voice, the voiceover made this stupid-looking drawn, like, not rotoscoped. What do they call that? The Borderlands cel-shaded. This goofy, cel-shaded, not realistic at all character kind of felt real thanks to the voiceover, and I was just really impressed with that. they're doing a lot of reused sets. You see the hospital, which you saw in one of the previous episodes, City Hall, the mayor's office. You're back in the Batcave, which of course you go back to the Batcave. But it's like they're reusing a lot of scenes, and for as many giant games as giant IPs rather, as Telltale has gotten a hold of, I feel like they should probably have the budget to where they could probably start ramping the production quality up a little bit. But I don't know, maybe they put it onto the voice acting, maybe. The detective stuff has sort of gone down a little bit. You remember me telling you about how you have to link pieces of evidence together to sort of build the story?
Yeah.
In service of doing that, they have had to make Batman very dumb.
Oh, that's not good.
He is super... you walk into this scene, I think it's going to end up being the Scarecrow. Sort of shows up at the end of episode 2... And as you can imagine, Scarecrow likes to poison people and make them scared. And you walk into a room, and it's like there's 6 pieces of evidence, and it is immediately clear. Okay, these were chemicals. Here's the delivery method, and then here's where he plans to do it. And it's like they make Batman spell it out step by step. When anyone, an idiot like me, walked into this room. And within 5 seconds of looking around, knew what the entire situation was, and I had to spend 15 to 20 minutes linking pieces of evidence together. So there's some chemicals, and then there's a nozzle. Okay, those two aren't the things that tie together. Maybe it's the nozzle, and then where he intends to do it. So it was dumb because he's gonna take this thing and spray a bunch of people and make them fucking crazy. But you had to tie the right things to the right things to get Batman to cognitively put it together step by step. And it's this is the world's greatest detective, motherfucker. If I figured it out, you have to do this for dumb people like me in the gameplay aspect, but feel like they could have done that a little better.
Yeah, they should have. It sounds like they probably should have brought in Jonathan Blow to design their... design some of their puzzles.
I have a very short Jake is full of shit. Probably last year, we said something about Jonathan Blow, and I was like, "Oh yeah, fuck that guy." Blah, blah. I was thinking of Phil Fish, so I want to apologize if anyone thought that I was mad at Jonathan Blow. I think he's great. And then the last, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just about to derail us. Sorry, keep on with the Batman.
I'm ready to wrap it up here. The last thing is, you know how they go through your in all the Telltale games, if you're connected to the internet, they go, well, here's what you picked and here's what everyone else picked. Mm-hmm. I'm apparently very much in the minority that 3 episodes, we're talking 2.5 hours into this game, Batman has met Selena Kyle, I don't know, maybe a day ago, and knows she's dating Harvey, and they give you an opportunity to basically bone her. And 9% of the people agreed with me and went, probably a little early to make Batman bone a stranger. 91% of people, as of last night, boned Catwoman.
Damn.
It was boy, well, I'm glad we're still a mature audience here.
I don't... Kidding me? The boning scenes are what I look forward to most in Mass Effect.
You are kidding, right?
Mostly, yeah.
You know what? There is a disturbing amount of people who and maybe it's not disturbing. Maybe I'm the weirdo here. Felt like there were people who really got into the boning in Dragon Age. They got into the dragon bone.
You see, I like the establishing a relationship with the character and kind of, just having my character have that arc with them kind of thing. But the scenes were it was a nice cherry on top, but not necessary. The Dragon Age relationships I felt were kind of worsely done than Mass Effect, honestly. But although Dragon Age Inquisition, I thought, actually did them really well.
I'm sorry, I should have been clear. Those are the ones I'm talking about, that people were super into the Minotaur,
oh yeah,
really dug the sex scenes, and I couldn't quite tell if they were kidding or not, or just really liked the character, but it kind of felt a little weird.
The sex scenes in Inquisition were all goofy. That's why everyone liked them.
Okay, so it's ironic
Yeah, like if you
Okay.
romance Cassandra, like you find out Cassandra's into really trashy romance novels, so like the build up to her sex scene it has something to do with that, and
Like you're riding
um,
a horse
I-
on a beach.
well, no, not that. I think you read her like a passage from the book. I haven't actually done that romance, but I kind of looked a few of them up out of curiosity.
Just out of curiosity.
Oh my gosh, I am a red-blooded male. Yes,
Susie's taking a shower. I got 10 minutes.
I am a cis white male. Yes, I looked up all this shit. She takes a much longer shower than 10 minutes. Probably because
That's
I'm watching
nice.
these Dragon Age videos.
You can light some candles, really treat yourself.
Anyway. What were we talking about? Like, let's move on to this subject, like at light speed or faster than light speed.
I was ready to drop this a viewer because we're starting to run a little long. As part of my dodging baseball stress, I've been playing FTL, and a while ago they went back and did like an expanded version with a little sort of an expansion and extra races and a couple new events and stuff and new worlds, new ships, all that stuff, new weapon types. And they sort of did that in conjunction with the release on the iPad. That is a very good port on the iPad. But playing a bunch of FTL this week, man, I wanted to bring it up because I feel like it's been too long since people have talked about it. That is such a good game. That seems like that'd be in your wheelhouse. You totally have played FTL, right, John?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you played the Enhanced Edition or whatever?
I don't think so. It's been a long time since I played it. It is a game I like that I am not very good at, and I don't think I've ever gotten to the boss on it, but I think I've gotten to the... What is this? Is it like 5 maps long or something like that?
8.
8?
8.
Well, okay, I've never gotten anywhere near the end.
You would remember if you saw the boss, because he is some fucking bullshit, man. It's a 3-stage fight with... Oh, boy. Go look up a video of somebody fighting that thing, because words can't describe it. Or at least I can't summon the words because I've been playing it I've probably dumped 5 or 6 hours into it in the last week. And I have not gotten to the 6th chapter. I have not gotten to the 6th zone. I've got 80, 90, 100 hours into this game. I played, I don't know how many runs. I played probably 14 or 15 runs, and I didn't even come close to the end boss, playing on normal. So, super, super difficult, but god damn that game holds up. Like, it's worth reinstalling and goofing around with if you got nothing else kind of urgent or on your plate.
It really doesn't take up any room. I don't think I've ever uninstalled it because of that. I've meant to buy it for like iPhone or iPad or whatever, but I just never got around to it.
It's good. It just doesn't... I really like having that space bar to pause.
Gotcha.
And it's sort of like... It's a lot more click intensive. I miss the hotkeys. But it's if you don't want to buy it on PC, you only want it for something to goof around with while you're playing football or whatever. Playing football? Watching football. It's totally, if you just want to pick up on the iPad, that is definitely acceptable. But, man, that's a good game. Great soundtrack, good art. I'm going to play it after we get done here again.
It's a great game. So I guess that's our wrap-up. So you can find us at thecarouselpodcast.com. If you send us an email or tweet, we will read it and discuss it on the cast. You can find our Twitter, Carousel Podcast. Send us an email, carouselpodcast@gmail.com. Rate and review us on iTunes, so if you enjoy us, so more people can enjoy us as well. You can buy the music, not specifically for the cast, but I write all the music, and I have albums out, and you can buy that at MusiM, MusiM.bandcamp.com. Jake, where can we find you?
Well, you'll find you and me both here not 2 weeks from today, because that would be Thanksgiving here in America.
Oh, right.
So we're going to do basically not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday after that, which should be the 22nd? Yeah. So we're going to be live and streaming on the 22nd. Our Favorites of the Year cast is probably going to end up being a Saturday in December. We're thinking the 10th. So it's just a little kind of housekeeping. As far as where you can find me on the internet, maybe give it a couple days, because I'm kind of needing to take a break from the internet. But when I come back, I will be at TheOtherJZee. That's JZEE on Twitter.
Cool. Well, thank you for joining us, and we will check everyone next turn.
Miss you, Randy.
Okay. I realized halfway through I wasn't writing down any titles, so I'm glad you wrote down a few. Ian,
But you know what? The problem with just me writing them down is they'll end up being masturbatory.
Yeah, I was about to say they're all things you said, right? So
Yeah.
So we don't
So
talk.
I'm going to let you pick which one.
Okay, so we don't talk about Harry Potter. We're International Man, The Filth Element, Cal Syphilis. There is no narrative journey.
What's your knee jerk? Because I have a knee jerk.
I kind of like The Filth Element or Cal Syphilis. So
Those are the two.
So I'm afraid of what picture you would choose for Cal Syphilis, even though it goes more with.
I was thinking Bizarro, but that might be like one too many steps down the joke.
I kind of like the Filth Element.
Yeah, that's too punchy to not take.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's get filthy.
So thanks for everyone for joining us live. We always like it when you guys show up. So every other Thursday except next time, to be extra confusing, at 8 p.m. Central on Twitch at Carousel Podcast. So where's my off button so this isn't awkward? Okay.
You're such a professional.
So see you guys later.
Bye, guys.